Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video, we will be having a very simple JavaScript project. So this video would be especially for the beginners as this is going to be a very simple and fun project. That is simply your typing speed tester. So here we have some codes. So what you need to do, you need to type this code exactly in the same manner. Uppercase would be uppercase. You need to take care of the punctuations as well as the spaces. So it means you need to type this exactly, then you will know your typing speed. So how it will work? Simply, as we have the code, so simply we need to type exactly the same. See, it shows your speed 4 WPM. So let's say if you want to have a different code, so when you press this new test button, see, you got a different code. Then again, see, this time my speed is 34 WPM. That is 34 words per minute. So how to have this? So let's start the video. In this video, I'll be focusing more on the JavaScript part. That is the functionality of this speed tester. Although I'll be explaining a brief about HTML as well as CSS. So let's quickly have that. So simply you need to have your index file, your style.css as well as your script.js. So simply to get started with HTML, to have the boiler code, simply write HTML and choose this HTML5. Then change your title to typing speed tester. Then simply have a link tag to link your external CSS. href would be simply your style.css. Let's just quickly have the layout. So I kept only this part, that is my codes. So we have 4 different codes. You can add more if you want. So it will pick the code randomly when you press that button. Okay. So first, let's quickly have the layout. So first, we will be having a div. That would be the container. Then let's have a heading as simply your typing speed tester. Then let's have a p tag. And let's give it a class name as simply your code. Or let's have ID for this. So this paragraph tag, that is simply ID would be code. So this will be responsible for this. That is the codes which the user will see and type exactly the code is. So we left it blank here. As with JavaScript, we will add the codes randomly. Then we will simply have a text area. That is this simply. As here we have start typing. So this is your text area where the user will start typing. Where the user will write this code to check its speed, right? So simply text area with again ID as input, and placeholder would be simply your just start typing. Then we will also have a p tag that would be your result. So if the user will write this code, so the speed of the user that will be shown here. This p tag will be responsible for that. So again the ID would be simply, let's say result. Again this would be also empty. Then we will simply have this button, that is your new test button. Here we will add event listener, that is your start test. So as you know, whenever the user will press this button, again the random code will be generated and the new test will start. So we have our layout. Now let's quickly have the CSS for this. So first simply have star. As this is a universal selector, it will select all. So simply we need margin and padding to be 0. So this would remove the margin and padding from your page. And box sizing would be simply border box. So why border box? What it does? So normally what happens? Your width will be equal to your content only. That will be padding. Plus borders are added outside of that. So normally, let me write it down. But if we use box sizing to border box, then your width would be, then with this border box, the width will include content plus padding plus border. So the margin and padding from the page is being removed. Then let's simply style our body. So first we will have the height would be 100 VH. Then simply display would be flex. Your justify content to center, align items to again center. So as we wanted a full viewport height, so it is 100 VH. And then we are using flexbox to have our container, that is your typing speed tester, this container at the center of the page, right? Then let's quickly add the background color for this. So I'm using linear gradient. And I also have this color code. You can simply copy this color code if you like the color. Then font family to change the font of the page. So I'm going with this option. You can select other if you want. So see, this got at the center of the page, as well as our background color is linear gradient, right? Now let's quickly style our container that is containing our h2 and the paragraph tags. So here also let's quickly add the background color for this. So for this also I have the color code. So if you don't want to have this RGB colors, you can simply go for any single color. Then border radius would be simply 20 pixels, as I need to have a slight rounded border instead of this square simply. Then let's say I want to have a width of 350 pixels, and let's say a padding of 30 pixels, and the color as simply white. Then text align would be center. See, all the text as well as this got to the center, right? Then let's have a box shadow. So see, we got a shadow effect. And if you don't want to have this RGB colors. What you can do, you can simply select any color, let's say blue, and later on change your RGB values by selecting different colors or maybe different shades of colors. I am going with my original color. Now let's increase this size, that is your this H2 size a little bit. So simply H2 would be simply font size 1.8 rem, although you can simply have pixels. Let's have pixels only. So you can adjust this accordingly. And let's have a gap in between this, the text area and your heading. So simply margin bottom would be, let's say 15 pixels. See. Now let's quickly have the design for our quotes. That is this part. So simply you need to pick this, your quote. So let's again the background color first. Then a border simply. Then again the padding 12 pixels. Then again border radius, let's say 12 pixel, as instead of this square we simply want to have a rounded edge. And again we want a gap between these two. So margin bottom again. So see, we got a gap in between this. So again font size. So this will be seen the font size when we will add the quote randomly with the help of JavaScript. And now let's design our text area, that is this part. So the width 100%, height 80 pixels, then background color white, and then color. So I already have this color code. You can select the colors accordingly. Then let's have border as none. To remove the border of this text area got removed. Then again here also we need to have slightly rounded curve instead of this square. So again border radius here also 12 pixels. Then again padding same as 12 pixels. Then simply to remove this option of resizing, what we can do, resize would be none. See, and also see, we remove the outline, that is on clicking it we were seeing outline, that is black outline. To remove that simply outline none. See, and then again font size 1 rem. You can simply go for pixels if you are confused about rem. So it's simply a different unit. Now let's have the styling of this placeholder, that is start typing. So simply your text area, your placeholder would be, I already have the color for this as well. See, and now finally let's design our button, that is your new test button. So again background, again I am going for linear gradient to 135 degrees. Then again I want a gap between your text area and the button. So for that, margin top again, let's say 15 pixels this time, then padding 10 pixels and 20 pixels. So, and again, I don't want border for this button, border none. And again, I want the radius of this simply instead of square button. See, we got this button. And I also want the font to be bold. So font weight, bold. And the main thing, cursor would be your pointer. See, this time it's a pointer. So this transition, as we want to have a hover effect of this button, so simply your button hover would be simply transform. So see, upon hovering, the size of the button is getting increased, right? And the last part, that is your result, the typing speed result that will be seen here. So again, margin top 15 pixels, font size would be 1.2 rem again, as I already have this predefined values, so I'm sticking with that. So now our layout is ready. So now let's have the functionality. I already have this codes. Simply we will have start time and end time. As with this also, as with this only, we will compare our typing speed. Then we will simply have a function that you had here. That is your button start test. Now we will define that function. It means if a user clicks on this, what this function will do, that is your start test is defined here. So first, your random index math.floor math.random into your quotes.length. So what this line will do, it will simply pick your random index from the quotes array. As we have this array, so the index of this would be simply 0, 1, 2 and 3. So it will pick a random index simply. So how it works? So let me explain you a bit about this, how it works. So this part, that is your math.random will generate a random decimal between 0 and 1. So which may be, let's say, like this. Like this value, okay? So it will generate simply random decimal, which may be any other random decimal, but it will be between 0 and 1. So this will be multiplied by your quotes length, that is now 4, as we have 4 quotes. So simply your quotes length would be simply 4. So when you will multiply this, you will get something around, let's say 2.89. So now this math.floor will round it down to the nearest whole number. Simply, so I know many of you might already be knowing these things, but as I mentioned earlier, that this video would be especially for the beginners. So for the beginners point of view, I am explaining each line here to have their understanding better on these things. So simply math.floor will round up this value to the nearest decimal, so to the nearest whole number. So this will become simply 2. And always keep in mind, whenever you will have any project, whether it would be HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or maybe in future, you may have React projects. And if you want to add that project, that particular in your resumes, so be ready to explain each and every line of your project. The interviewer will ask deeply about that project. So if you are adding any project in your resumes, so you must be ready to explain each and every part of the code. So that's why you must focus on every line. You must have a brief idea about what each line does. So this line will give 2. So every time this line will not give 2, it will generate a random number. And according to this, here we will have random index every time. Then simply, so let me write it down. Then we will simply pick our quote, that is our this paragraph, with the help of ID. So simply document dot get element by ID, and our ID is simply quote. So now we will add our quotes. It would be simply inner text. So now we will have quotes of our random index. So here in the p tag, we will add the quotes randomly with the help of this random index. Then again, document dot get element by ID, simply this time your input dot value would be simply empty. So why this empty? So it will clear the typing input text box that we have. So as you will start a new test, the text area should be empty, right? So this will reset it to an empty string again. So whenever you click this, you want it to be empty again, right? So it is empty. Here we will do that. And again, the same thing for our result. As we want to clear the result text also. So if a previous test showed your speed, let's say 45 words per minute, so this line will clean it before you start typing. So whenever you will type this code, your result will be shown here. And what we want, again, when we start typing the different code, then that time we want the result to be empty again, so that it can display a new result for the next code, right? So we cleared the input as well as the result. Then here simply we will grab the start time simply with new date function. This will give your current date, and to get time, simply get time. So this way we will have our start time. So this line will record the current timestamp in milliseconds. So we define the function that is related to our button, that is this new test. So if this is being clicked, these things will happen. A random index will be picked, and based on the random index, random code will be shown. Then again, input value will be cleared again. If the user will start typing the next code, as if a new code is being shown, the previous test will be cleared, new test will begin. So that time input cleared, and again previous result cleared, and this start time, as the test will get start, we will be recording the start time. Then now we only need to pick this input, as here only the user will start typing. So we will pick this and we will add event listener on this input also, so that we can calculate the typing speed, right? So simply again document dot get element by id. So we will grab this text area with the help of its id, that is this input. So simply, and we will add event listener, that would be simply input. So as whenever this input changes, we want this function to run, right? That's why we added input event listener. Simply we will have the type text. We will grab the type text, whatever the user will write, simply. So this dot value will grab the current text that the user has typed. Now we will simply pick our original text, that is your original code, so that we can compare that with the type text, right? So as the user will type the code, that will be shown here. So we need to compare those two codes. If those two codes will be exactly the same, if the user has typed exactly the same code, then only speed will be calculated. So now we got our type text, whatever the user will write. Now we need to grab. Now we need to have your original code. So simply your original code. Let's say maybe let's have original text only. So again, document dot get element by id. Then again your code dot inner text. Simply now we will check if our user type text is equal to our original text. Then simply we will calculate the end time when the user stop typing. So again, that would be your new date dot time dot get time end time. Then we will calculate the total time. Simply your end time minus start time by 1000 to have the time in seconds, right? Then we will simply have the word count. So original text dot split dot length. So how we will calculate the word count? Simply we used split. So it means it will split the code into an array of words. Then this dot length will simply count how many words are there. So again, then we need to have the speed. That is simply your speed. Then again, math dot round your word count simply divided by total time into 60. As you know, WPM, that is your words per minute, will measure how many words you have typed in one full minute. And math.round, that is this, will simply rounds the number to the nearest whole number, where simply math.round, simply your total word count divided by the total time that you took into 60 to have the words per minute, that is WPM. Then the last thing, simply you need to show the result to the users. So simply now this time you need to pick the result, that is simply with the help of this result id. So document dot get element by id, simply your result dot inner text again. So your speed. For this, I use template literals, that is a backtick, so that I can include the speed here. So simply your speed. To include the speed, simply a dollar and a curly brace with your speed, then WPM, that is words per minute, and you are done. Then again, simply call this function. As always, you want to start with a random code, right? Initially, you want a random code to be displayed, right? So for that, simply call this function. So now let's check. And before checking, simply we need to link our JavaScript, external JavaScript. So to link that, simply the script tag with src would be simply the address of this file. See, we have our initial code, and when I'm clicking this new test, as I have described here, the function start test, random code is generated. Let's try to type this. JavaScript makes the websites interactive, and you need to type exactly the same as here we have J capital, S capital. So simply see, it says your speed is 23 words per minute. Then again, if you click this, your result will be removed, and this input field, that is the text area, will also get cleared. See, again, we got the next code. So see, now it says your speed is 35 words per minute. Cool, right? So you can have few changes if you want. You can increase the number of quotes or maybe the length of the quote, and then try to type that code simply without any errors, exactly the same code, and your speed will be shown simply. So yes, that's it for this video. Hope you all understood about the HTML, CSS, and especially the JavaScript part in a much better way. So now you can have this fun project, and the beginners can also add this project in their resumes. See you all in the next one. Till then, take care.